Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
E-Class Consulting. It's owned and operated by E. providing tools, training, and resources that are sure to make you and your business even more successful. We are staffed with a marketing, credit, tax, and a real estate consultant. E-Class Consulting also provides a temporary admin service called E-Class Admins. Want to book an appointment with E-Class Consulting? Call 702-518-3002 or email book@eclassconsulting.com. E-Class Consulting, navigating you to greatness.
Hey, what's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale. Oh yeah, let me turn. Mic check. Mic check. You know who it is. It's time to holla at the homie, baby. You know I'm always over here with my technical difficulties because I'm an old man with an old man's plan, and I'm out here making it happen, baby. I'm out here making it happen. And what y'all doing? Where y'all at? And where y'all at and what y'all doing? You dig? I want to know all these things. I want to know what's happening in your part of town, where you at, and what's going on with you and your peeps. So until you tell me that, I ain't saying nothing else. I'm lying. We here. It's another Wednesday, baby. It's hump day. So it's time to holla at the homie. And you know how to do that by hitting me up on hollaatthehomie@gmail.com if you want to send in a letter and let me know you got some questions. Or you can hit me right here on Instagram. There I go, showing my age again. Hit me up right here on Instagram, and you can say, what's happening? What's going on, Al Rich? What's going on, Corey W.? What's up, Miss Summer? Good to see everybody populating up in this thing. Always a pleasure. James, the drive at 5, James L. Pitts II. Gotta say, what's happening, dog? Happy birthday to you. James Lewis Pitts II, a.k.a. Slim with the tilted brim again. My dog for over 25 years. It's your birthday today, dog. 10-4. 10-4, good buddy, because that's your birthday, 10-4. So all my Libras out there, it's Libra season. All my people that think they balanced in their life and they think they know what they doing, I'm going to salute y'all right now, all the Libras, all my scales and stuff like that. What's up, Big Dak? I'm going to see you next week, dog. So if all those don't know what I'm talking about, I am the one. What's up, Carlos Cornelius? What's happening, dog? You in the building. You know it was James Slim with the Tilted Brim birthday. I hope I see both y'all cats next week too, man. So if for y'all that don't know, when I say next week is the Tennessee State University's homecoming weekend. and that's one of the coldest in all of the land. If you ain't never been to a HBCU homecoming, slap yourself, first of all. Second of all, yo bad. That's what we going to say. It's going to say hashtag yo bad for not being at a HBCU homecoming sometime in your life. You know what I mean? So for those that have been to one, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, and ours, the coldest school in the land, the original TSU. We're not talking about the ones that was founded in the 60s when civil rights and stuff was. We talking about the ones that was founded during slavery was still possibly going on somewhere down there in the South. It started off Tennessee A&I University, Agriculture and Industrial University, but we ended up turning it into Tennessee State University once we got that land grant. You dig? Since 1912, we've been kicking it down south, in the Mid-South. They call it the Mid-South because it's right there in the middle. But if you've been, you know, it's close to the Mason, down by the Mason-Dixon line. South of that, it's in the Bible Belt. So that in itself is another thing. So we here. You know why you here. It's the #1 advice column in all of the land, whether online or live and in person. Speaking of live and in person, if you want to tap in right now with me on, if you got something to say, make sure you feel free to tune in and tap in with the right here on my live. I'll accept you, as long as you ain't coming there talking crazy. I'll let you in there. I'll let you boost in and say what you got to say. Or you can always hit us up at 702-551-5261. Once again, that's 702-551-5261. Let me get my disclaimer. I always like to tell people, yes, this is an advice column / advice podcast, but I'm going to let y'all know I have never or probably never will ever receive any certificates and or be certified in clinical psychology, psychiatry, and or counseling. I'm more like a life coach. What I mean by that is I coach you through the things that I've learned in life and through other people's lives that I vicariously got a chance to rock and roll with and absorb some of their knowledge and juice and game, and I'm squeezing it out of my sponge right back onto y'all. So that's what we're doing here. So I wanted to let that be known out there, let y'all know that I am not a proven psychiatrist, but I got some psychosis going on in my head. So let me get my camera action going on over here, and we good. We in the hood, we in the neighborhood, we all what? Thank goodness for them double walls, boy. Double walls. Them things be coming through for you, boy. All right, so we got a good one today. You know we always do. What we do about this time, we come through with the letter. Somebody always sends me a letter. And again, if y'all want to send me a letter, you can always send it to hollaattthehomie@gmail.com. That's HOLLAATTHAHOMIE@gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. Or if you're so privileged to have my phone number, that's been the same since the last millennium, then you can send me a text message, and I'll be able to respond to it all in the same. So first, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor for my shirt of the day, this Royal Circle. That's to my nephew, Jay Royal, who just was out here putting it down. Jay Royal Official is where you can find him on Instagram, or J-Royal Official on TikTok. TikTok famous kid. He just came from out here celebrating his 21st birthday, but also shooting a video for Ric Flair Jones. And he had it going on, man. He was down there off the strip, hopping out the limo, and people are like, you know what I mean, giving all the Ric Flair. They're giving 2 claps in the woo, you know what I mean? So that it was Nature Boy and him down there. So it was a good feel. I was glad he had a chance to experience that on his birthday and post-birthday, and be able to get that during that live video shoot. So, and he got heart too. That young man go out there, he go in. When he come out there, he come at you. He don't come at you too aggressive, but he say what's happening. So you want to be a part of this movement or no? You know, in that kind of way. So I'm part of that movement. The Royal Circle. That's the people in the conglomerates that is wrapped around him like a circle of love and protection. So appreciate it, Royal Circle, J Royal Official. Big ups to you, nephew. But we talking a good one today. Let's get into this letter. As we always do, we find ourselves, it's a question that some of us have been finding a way to are dealing with, challenging the traditional gender roles, and we always trying to strive to get a more, equitable partnership, amongst ourselves. So that's kind of the things I pulled from this letter. So here we go. We got a gentleman who sent us a letter and said, "What's up, homie? I find myself in a situation that has been causing me some tension in my marriage, and I'm not sure how to handle it. My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and we both have successful careers. Recently, she got a significant promotion, and he put significant in air quotes. I ain't seen air quotes in a minute. And her income is now substantially higher than mine. While I'm proud of her accomplishments, this change has led to her struggling. Rewind, hit that fish snip. While I'm proud of her accomplishments, this change has led to her suggesting that I become a stay-at-home dad to take care of our 2 young children. I'm conflicted about this idea. On one hand, I want to be a supportive partner and prioritize what's best for our family. On the other hand, I've always been the primary breadwinner, and I'm concerned about the impact this change could have on my self-esteem and my identity. I love spending time with our kids, but I'm also worried about the challenges that come with this being a stay-at-home parent. I want to do what's best for our family, but I'm struggling to reconcile my traditional views on gender roles and the changing dynamics in our relationship. How do I approach this conversation with my wife and navigate this transition if we decide that it's the right path for us? I want to maintain a healthy, happy marriage while also preserving my own sense of purpose and self-worth. Sincerely, conflicted husband. Wow. Let's say that because in today's times, in today's world, we knew this was coming. We knew it was coming. It was on the forefront. It was on the horizon, all along the independence movement and things of that nature. And I'm glad. C. Smith said, I'll marry her. I know. I mean, I get you. And that's the thing about it. I'm glad that there's guys checking in saying what they would say to this as well, because, I'm always going to be angels and devil's advocate on this. Like I said, this is a question that we're dealing with, challenging the traditional gender roles, and striving for a more equitable partnership. What I mean by that is, we're challenging the traditional gender roles, meaning husbands do this, wives do that, because in today's times, they've kind of transformed a little bit. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. It's just a noticeable thing. I've noticed that the gender roles have transformed a little bit, and I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. I'm not knocking it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. If it works in the households in which it's taking part in, then I'm here for you. If it doesn't work, then it's a way to kind of re-examine these things. First and foremost, you got to realize that communication is the number one key. I say this every single week. Communication is the key that opens the doors that cannot be opened. You understand what I'm saying? The doors that you seem like they can't open, communication is the key to opening those. Having an open and honest conversation and communicating, meaning you're listening to absorb, not just to respond to what they're saying. You're not just trying to get off your chest, your position in this whole thing. You're listening to absorb what they have to say as well, because if it's a two-way street, that means you got to respect that line in the middle, and that line to keep y'all from crashing, going head on. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, communication is key. And that line will keep y'all from going head on. If you respect that, communication is a two-way street, meaning it's coming back and forth. So you got to be respectful of what's coming at you and understand that it has its place in this conversation, in this communicative highway as well, right? So, once you understand that, honesty and open dialogue and, have a, successful discussion about how a significant change like this can really change the dynamics of your family. So you have to be ready to, really attack it from all angles because of how it can affect your household. It doesn't say whether your kids are, it doesn't give the gender of your children, but it says you have 2 young children. So that means they're at the impressionable age to where they really haven't seen daddy just bring home the bread. They don't know what it means for daddy to bring home the bacon. They don't know what it means for, that to be the quote unquote role, because most people say the definition of a father and husband, they share part definition, meaning being a protector and a provider, right? So now the providing changes in a way, because now you're providing them with the time and attention that they may be necessarily needing. Because I'm wondering, are they of school age, or is this something that y'all want to do now? Because if it says young children, it says 2 young children, right? Yeah, it says your two young children. It doesn't say small. It just says 2 young children. So my question is, are they at school age? And if they are, why can't y'all be working while they're at school? Like, why can't one of y'all work while they're at school? And I get that if, somebody get home, they get tired, they don't get the real energy. But, hey, you got to burn the midnight oil sometimes. As a parent, there is no clock in and clock out of being a parent. That's one thing we got to understand. You can't really clock out on being a parent. You're a parent 24/7, 365, 366 in the leap year. You're a parent. You can't clock out. You can't shuck away from your responsibilities as a parent. Now, does that mean you always got to be at every beck and call of your children, no matter how old they get? No, that does not mean that. But your parenting has to be available anytime they need it, though. So that's one thing I hope that a lot of parents start to absorb and understand, that parenting doesn't have a shutoff valve. It needs to be ready to rock and roll anytime they pull the trigger on the water hose. You need to spray them with some parenting. And, you can't just send your kids off like that, regardless how old they are, because even if they're parents, they're learning more how to be parents by watching you be a parent. Message. So, first of all, let's attack these. Like I said, you got to be able to attack this whole change in dynamic from a lot of different angles. Like, one, realizing that timing is everything. Before you have this talk, make sure you find a time when both of you can sit down without interruptions, without distractions, and have an in-depth conversation. Choose a moment when you both relaxed and not under anybody's stress. So don't say, okay, we're going to schedule this for tomorrow. We're going to get a babysitter, and then tomorrow comes and something happens at work. Or then tomorrow comes and the babysitter, that you thought you had, you don't have. And now you don't have the time. So now you got to scramble to get another one. So you're stressed out. Use that as a sign. If you can't get the babysitter, if you can't get the time, or if it's not a time when y'all relaxed, then I wouldn't recommend having the conversation of this magnitude, because this is a big one. This is one where you really, really, really have to be open and willing to be honest, because you have to put on the table how you really feel. That goes into my next point. The first point is make sure you understand that timing is everything. Let me see who's this. Ghost Floof says, they say that dating has evolved and traditional values no longer hold value, but when the tears come out when women ask for a man that knows how to fix the sink, and men ask for a nice smile and a dinner on the side when he gets home, no real evolution there. LOL. This is true. Like, a lot of people have said, like, the gender roles have changed and stuff like that, but everybody doesn't adhere to it. Everybody hasn't, drank that Kool-Aid per se, but if you are one who's saying that the gender roles have changed and stuff like that, and you're okay with it, then you have to be okay with not being able to receive those things. What's up, Authentically Nick? You have to be open and willing to receive those things, meaning you have to be able to say, like, okay, if I'm okay with the gender roles changing, then maybe I'm going to be the one that's going to cook the dinner and put a smile on my face. Or as the woman, maybe I'm the one that's going to learn how to fix the sink. If you're okay with the gender roles changing. That's the first thing you got to understand. Like, timing is everything before you have the conversations about this. But also, when you start this conversation, make sure that you express your feelings. Truly express your feelings. Don't hold back. By sharing your feelings, you're not just, share your feelings and not just your thoughts. What I mean by that is, you can't just share what you thinking. You got to share how you feel about what you thinking. C. Smith asks, how much will the family be impacted by the loss of the husband's income? Financial issues usually lead to divorce. This is true. So my question, and it has to be a substantial, he said that she got a significant promotion. So with that, and he put in air quotes, significant promotion. So that must mean if she got the gall to say, hey, babe, how about you post up at the crib? I got us. She got to at least be making her and his salary together. That's what I would be thinking. Dakari Kofi says, this would be long. Man, this is hitting home. This was my situation some 15 years ago. The situation tests every part of your manhood. My advice, pray about this vigorously. Got to get the strength from God. Always remember you're the head, but it's tough. But it's tough when you bring home. Always remember the head, but if it's tough when you're not bringing the money home. If we can work from home and help, men help purpose. Men need purpose. Lastly, staying home with the kids isn't easy, but by far is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I can get that, because mentally and historically and emotionally, all those mixed together, as men, we're not ready for that. We really aren't, to be honest, but you got to get ready, or you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So yes, indeed, I believe it was one of the hardest things you've ever had to do, but it wasn't impossible. It was not impossible. Because if you break it down, impossible, it nothing but means I'm possible, meaning I'm possible, can do anything. I'm possible to do anything. What's up, Junior? How you doing, Neff? You know what I mean? When you say something's impossible, that impossible just means that I'm possibly going to do this. I'm possible. Spell it. So that's one thing. You got to make sure that you share how you feel and not only what you're thinking when you have a conversation of this magnitude. Or of anything where it's that deep. Any deep conversation where it's going to affect you emotionally, you have to share those emotions with the person you're communicating with, because that's where the honesty and the openness of the communication go back and forth. You understand? Like, while you're doing this, find out to her why it is so important, why the change is so important to her to talk about career aspirations and your desires and to be present for your children and how this can benefit your family in the long run. Like, these are the things that you have to discuss. If you're really going to make a change of this size, like this is seismic. I like using words like that. These are words only heard in movies back in the day. A change like this. What up, young Stitch? I need some of them beats, dog. A change of this size is something that you have to be able to dissect and break everything about it. Like, why is it so important at this juncture to be that person in the house? Why is it, important for you to be that presence in the home? How can this benefit your family? Because if that's apparently what you're doing it for. If you're making this change, you're doing it for your family. It's not for you, because you sent me a letter. So it's not you just saying, damn, I'm glad my wife bringing in the bread. Or you're not saying, damn, my wife balling. I'm going to ask her, can I kick it at the crib? You're not doing any of that. So it concerns you. You good at working. You good at doing what you're doing. But you said that your wife, in air quotes, got a significant promotion and has now asked you. She didn't tell you. You said she asked you. So that the verbiage in these things are very important. Like, she didn't suggest, she asked, like, how would you feel about, being a stay-at-home dad? And I'm glad you came to me, because you could have just blew up on it like, what the hell you mean? Because apparently it's something in you that's questioning it. So you wanted to not give her an explosive response, right? So now you got to get ready to have that conversation. And again, make sure that it's a time when both of y'all are stress-free, because you don't want to bring stress into a stressful question. Make sure that you share your feelings as well as your thoughts, because you want to put some thought into your feeling. Make sure you could say, like, you know what? This is how I feel. What's up, Lucy Lou? Hey, babe. You know what I mean? This is how I feel about this. Yes, Junior asked me, does pride have a role in all this? Absolutely. Pride is always, when it comes to men, the first thing you got to understand that the first wall/barrier that you have to get beyond is male pride. Women's intuition and male pride are two things that come along with your genetics. They come along with you. That when you come out the womb, from the womb to the tomb, those things are going to be with you. So yes, Junior, pride does take a big part in this, because that's part of the conversation you have to have. Your feelings. You're feeling You know, it says on here, it says, I'm conflicted about this idea. It says, I want to be a supportive partner and prioritize what's best for our family. But then also, I'm concerned about the impact this change could have on my self-esteem and identity. So his self-esteem and his identity as a man, those are the things that go into pride, in the male pride. What up, Mike Donardi? You know what I mean? Those are the things that go into the pride of things, you know? Your self-esteem and your personal identity as a man. So he's feeling questionable about these things. So he hasn't answered her yet. You know, so I'm suggesting that, you know, what did I just do over here? I'm suggesting that we make that happen. Let's get that conversation going on. First and foremost, let's get that conversation going on. Engineer, I need you. You know, so like, is it the pride that's holding him back from having this conversation, or is it the fear of the change? You know, so you have to listen actively. That's another thing I want to tell you, Mr. Conflicted Husband. You have to listen actively, meaning like give her the opportunity to express her thoughts as well. You know, it's essential to understand her perspective and concerns in this whole thing also, because if not, then you're just dismissing her feelings and you're dismissing her desires, and they're making them like as if they're not equal to yours. You know? You got to be able to, you have to be able to let her express how she feels. And you have to let her you have to understand and let her say how her thoughts are processing in her head as well. That's where listening actively comes into play. Engineer, I need your help. You know what I mean? So, and then through all of that, make sure you explore potential solutions. You know, together y'all can brainstorm together. Not just you come up with your solutions like, okay, well, maybe this will work for us. Or not just she come up with it, you know, okay, what Nook Pratt say? Let me see. Ghost Loof said, feeling emasculated is a real thing. It does not mean you're insecure. It's just your biology telling you a lifelong change may come. Understandable. That is the truth. That's what I'm saying. That the emasculation, the feeling emasculated, that's where your pride feels like it's been shrunk a little bit. You know, it feels like somebody threw salt on a slug. And you know how you ever throw salt on a slug or something, it kind of shrivel away, or a snail? You know, that's what it feels like to be emasculated, to feel emasculated. You know, because you can only be emasculated if you own up to that, if you sign off on it and accept it. And then Enoch Pratt said, as long as she understands that you are still head of the household, that's the thing. That is it. You have to have these conversations with each other. Like, you got to know that's got to be how you feeling, because that's the part that's got you questioning what it is about your self-esteem and identity. Your identity as the man, the head of the household. You know, you're questioning these things, so you have to let it be understood, like, this is how I feel about this. If you want to make sure that she knows that you still head of the household, tell her that that's how you feel. It's not just the thoughts you're having. No, you feel like you need to understand this, and she'll tell you how she feels about that. Because if that open conversation, that listening actively, communicating actively is in process. If you're going through that process, then these questions will come back towards one another, and these words will be able to be understood by both sides. Because if you're listening, then you can understand what's behind all of what the words are. Like I told y'all before, my brother-in-law told me, he said, the difference between listening and hearing somebody is you can hear a car bumping its music all the way down the block. But unless you're inside, you're not able to listen to the lyrics. You can hear some of them. You may be, you know, I love it when they call me. You know what I mean? Whatever they be bumping down the street. But unless you're inside, you can't listen to the lyrics. So you have to listen actively. Listen. Again, explore potential solutions. Brainstorm with one another. Find different ways to make this transition as smooth as possible. You know, what it is about each other. Like when you got a life mate, right? When you got somebody that you're with, your wife, your husband, your significant other, your life partner, then you've been through some things where you understand how the other one ticks. So, what's going on, neighbor Nicole? You've been through some things where you understand each other. So, consider both of your interests. Consider both of your skills and both of your passions. What's up, Kidada Mitchell? TSU in the building. Explore those things. How can you, as the man, the head of the household, how can you continue to contribute to the family in a meaningful way? These are questions you need to ask and have an understanding. Even if you're not the primary breadwinner, how can you contribute to the household in a meaningful way? Again, how does it make you feel? The meaning behind how your contributions are being received needs to be understood. Ain't no better understanding than an understanding. Nothing better than an understanding in this world. And once you get an understanding with someone, with something, then everything from that point forward is easier to navigate. You know? So while you're exploring these potential solutions, while you're brainstorming with each other, and that's where you'll find out the real meat of the why. Cook and clean. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Cooking and cleaning, that may be how you can contribute as that person at home. Church, what up, Snooper Loop? Chucky J in the building, baby. But yeah, that may be a way that you can contribute. Find a way that what you're doing adds meaning to the entire situation, to the totality of your household, to your livelihood, to your manhood. How does it help you while it's helping the house? You know, so you can't just feel like, okay, she say that cooking and cleaning is a way that you can contribute, have a meaningful way to contribute. You know, through this conversation, you'll find out and you'll let her know whether that means something to you, or whether that makes you feel even further emasculated. But then that's the conversation part. That's where the two-way street comes in. You have to listen to what they're saying as well. And while you're speaking, get your thoughts together. Don't blow up at each other, you know? That's why I say talk to each other when y'all both chill. If y'all need to roll up a J and put that in the wind while y'all converse, then do that. If you need to write that, like, I get to the point now, like if I got a real conversation I'm having at home, I'm going to write down some notes. I'm going to write down some bullet points that I want to make sure that I can check off. Same way I got notes right here in the studio, and as I'm finishing up a note on my notes over here, I'm checking them off. I do the same thing in my home conversations. It can be on a napkin. It don't matter if I got something I want to say, because what will happen is we'll get so caught up on responding with one of our bullet points that we won't continue to listen to what their bullet point explanation is. So if you still got your bullet point written down and it's not checked off, then you haven't covered how you feel about that bullet point. It's so many ways to have discussions. You know, you have to think about what works for y'all. You know, if y'all a couple that's got like a code word that it's a certain time to leave a party without having to say, let's get the hell up out this party, you know. And then C. Smith says more money usually means spending more time away from the family. In some instances, but sometimes you can get a significant promotion and you boss mode. So now you putting the pieces in play. You know, yeah, it may mean, you know, certain days may not be the same as before. You know, it may mean you may work 4 10s or 4 12s, you know. You may get a promotion that's putting you in a position where you can get more time at home, but if you can have the other person at home when you get there, then that means the kids are benefiting, the family's benefiting. You know, they say the apple don't fall far from the tree, right? But what kind of roots do that tree have? Charles Jones says people that put more value on the perception of money versus the reality that it's merely a tool to live with. A lack of money shouldn't cause the issue it creates, and it's sad that divorces end due to financial turmoil. Turmoil won't last with faith, personal growth, and understanding, like you mentioned. Exactly. Understanding. Turmoil won't exist if you got this understanding with each other. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head, Charles Jones. People put more on the perception of money. Like, what does money look like for me? What does having money look like for us? People put more weight, since we talking Libras. We talking Libras today, right? The scales. I'm not saying this is what y'all do. I'm just saying, just metaphorically bringing it back to what I said before. People put more weight on the perception of money than what, it really does. It's really like, it's just a tool. You can use money to fix shit. Fix stuff. I'm trying to stop cussing. It's hard for me. You can use money to fix stuff, right? But what else is it there for? When you didn't have it, y'all stuff still got fixed, metaphorically and literally. But at the same time, if you focus more on the money and what it is and what it's all about, as the man, like, I got to provide the money. That's what I'm bringing it back to Charles Jones's point. If you're thinking more as the man, I got to be the one to bring the money, but what about being the one that that provides the stability? Back to my point before, a husband or a father is a protector and a provider. You may be providing stability within that home. You may parent with a more hands-on approach. The kids may tap into you more. So that's helping the entire family as a whole. As long as you continue to communicate with your spouse, you have to be able to talk through it. Not talk about it, talk through it. Meaning both of y'all are sewing this shit together. Both of y'all got a needle and y'all sewing it together by talking through it. Putting back together the rip. Because there's a rip in here, because there's an opening where there's no understanding. You need to understand more about what's happening, right? So there's an opening, an opportunity for mess to get in. If you got a cut, they want to sew it up so it doesn't get infected with the outside mess. So together, y'all the surgeons that are sewing that back up with open communication, with active listening, with together exploring potential, brainstorming different ideas to consider to make this transition as smooth as possible. Getting that understanding. How do you get there? Right? And by all means, I'm not saying that everybody can get there in that way. I want us to be able to, but if not, there's always professionals. You can always seek professional guidance. If one side or both sides aren't really getting the communicative style that they're desiring, then maybe sometimes you need an outside person that's, has an objective way of thinking. Somebody out there who can give you some assistance or some counseling or some therapy, They can provide a neutral space for you, for both of you. Sometimes we need that. They say go to your mutual corners. It ain't about going to your corner. It's about coming to the middle, putting your gloves together to get ready for this fight called love. And it's not like physically and metaphorically fighting. You fight for your love because you're going to put everything else, put everything into making sure nothing stops you from that love. So find you somebody who can be that referee for you. They can help you with your emotional barriers. Because you both may not see it, because neither of you may have the open lane for that part of the communication to fly through. Charles Jones says sometimes we got to trim all that materialistic shit out of our lives. He said, I live by the material life and changed all that. My values on life and other means so much more to me now than money. I've learned to see a little clearer. For example, be sacrificing having a nice ride all the damn time if the money gets funny. Having a partner in life requires the two to become masters of compromise. He put that in all caps. That's the truth. Life be life and daily. Balance comes from communication in the relationships. It does. You hit the nail on the head. Life be lifing. Man, listen. And nobody's life is the same. And your life ain't going to be the same every single day. You hope that it's not. You hope your life is different tomorrow than it was today and yesterday. And what I mean by different, meaning that you've gained something, you've learned something, you've taught something, you've given something, then your life is different tomorrow than it will be today. Because tomorrow you'll try to do something even more. And you're right. In a relationship, you both have to be masters of compromise. Meaning you got to put in the hours. You're not a master of something till you put in at least 10,000 hours effort towards that thing, right? That's what they say. When you put in 10,000 hours towards something, that's a little over a year towards something, that thing particularly, that's when you master that skill. So until you put them 10,000 hours in compromise with that person, you may have put in 10, 20,000 with somebody else, but that ain't compromising with the one you with now. You have to be masters of compromise. And this is a big one. A big one to be, because I know what I'm not going to say I know what you're thinking, but I know what you're thinking, right? You thinking like, man, what are my friends going to say about me? Or what is my family going to say about me? Or what is my father going to say about me? And that's what you're thinking, like what they going to say about me. So now when you have this communication open with your spouse, if you open that line and you be able to actively listen with each other, then you already be like, well, they can say what they want, but I'm going to tell them about me. If you sign off on it. I'm not saying you right or wrong for if you say yes or no. Again, I never tell anybody what to do. I just give you options of what can be done. That's my role. That's the homie's role. To give you options of what can be done. You know, it's a playbook. So you can run this play, you can run that play. It's up to you. You the coordinator of your life. But you have to be a master of compromise in a situation like this, especially. I thank Charles Jones for making that point. Because without that, then there will be no understanding. Because there's some things that she's going to have to compromise as well. Because I'm pretty sure before she even asked you, women talk too. She'd be like, man, what they going to think about my husband? They're going to, what they going to think about my husband? Or what they going to think about me? They're going to think I'm a such and such, They're going to think I'm the boss. What is she thinking? So that compromise has to come in. So to rewind back and recap, we got a letter from a gentleman today, and he was talking about, his wife just got a significant promotion. And, they've been married for about 5 years, and they got 2 wonderful young children. So that lets me know they are probably not school age. I do my math. But he said while he's proud of her accomplishments, she recently asked him would he be a stay-at-home dad because her promotion got her to make a significant more amount of money. And she thinks it would be best for him to stay at home with the children. And so he came to me and was asked, and he conflicted about the idea. On one hand, he wanted to be supportive. But on the other hand, the other side of the scale, he's looking at it like, man, I'm questioning my own identity, if I agree to this. And so he asked me, how could he reconcile, the traditional views of gender roles? So we've been talking gender roles and also deal with the changing dynamics of their relationship that they're going through right now. Meaning she got the promotion. So what we going to do? What I going to do? And we talked a lot about it. We talked about how timing is everything to have this conversation. We talked about how expressing your feelings and your thoughts while in that conversation make a bigger difference than just going in saying what you're thinking. You got to talk about what you're feeling. and also actively listening to the same things coming from the other side. Because as we talked about with some of the listeners, a lot of our listeners are talking about how they've either had to do this or how it questions or it makes them question their manhood or as long as the understanding, the key word right here is understanding and compromise. Understanding and mastering compromise are the main things we got, because we talked about how money usually brings about problems. Less money in the home, or maybe it's more money. But at the same time, as long as the understanding of who's the head of the household is, established through these communication styles, talking your feelings out, talking about how, this can change the entire dynamic of your family. These are things that have to be discussed. Asking the question of why is it important now that one of us stay home? That's a real question you can bring to the table. Like, what's the importance now? Did you read something? Did you hear something on Oprah? What's wagwan? So these are different things you can ask and propose, but make sure it's at a time when both of y'all are chill. One side stressed or both sides stressed, that's no bueno. That's no good, because that's going to bring more friction. And that's not going to allow you to master the compromise in which you talked about, right? We talked about these things. What up, Denver Brigham? Denver said understanding is more important between the two. Understanding. He always come over dropping some jewels. You have to be able to understand what's going on inside you first. And that's, again, what I talked about. Discuss these feelings. Help them understand what's going on inside of you. The number one gripe that I hear a lot of women or a lot of wives or significant others say about us as guys is, I can't read your mind. And we get and we understand. I know we hope you can't. We know you have this women's intuition, but then again, like I talked about earlier, we have the male pride. So if we have an understanding, meaning you understand how I'm feeling on the inside, as well as I understand how I feel on the inside, and that way I can tell you how I feel on the inside. If we're open to that, then we don't have to read each other's minds anymore, because we're speaking our minds. And then Charles Jones said for him, he could definitely reinvent himself from home. Putting energy into his household and being the head could lead to more strength in his kids. There are some positives role that particularly to that. There are some positives to that particular situation. He could develop a business. Now, also, since they have more money coming in, they just need to talk that one out. Exactly. And these are the feelings that could be possibly had. They could be had by the wife. She could be thinking that, like, damn, babe, you could really bring your ideas to life while you at the crib. They could be had by him, like, damn, I really have been thinking about, really, I've been wanting to start this podcast. Just don't do it at 3:00 on a Wednesday. Go ahead and start you one, homie. I'll holler back at you. But it's a lot of things that can happen. He can reinvent himself. That's an excellent point, Charles Jones. Reinvention of who you are, then that means can't nobody define you. Now you're redefining what they think and what you think about yourself. Again, that's a whole nother understanding. I love my listeners, man. My listeners, my viewers, y'all be dropping some on me, man, because I love y'all perspective on things. So anybody who ever writes in, taps in, tunes in, I'm appreciative of y'all, because again, this ain't a journey I'm on by myself. These are questions that a lot of people may be facing. And y'all's perspective on it is appreciated just as much as I hope that mine is appreciated on it. So keep them coming. Keep all those coming, Keep listening. Keep tapping in. Keep tuning in. Because people need all of us. We all need each other in a way. We all thinking these things. It's just nobody saying it out loud. Somebody was talking about that with comedy the other day. I think I was watching The Breakfast Club and Marlon Wayans. They was doing a recap on the Laugh Out Louds. And Marlon Wayans was saying, like, comedy is nothing but what people are really thinking. It might have been him or it might have been Kim, one of them. They were saying comedy is really what people are just thinking. They're just not saying it to everybody out loud. That's the funniest stuff is the truest stuff. So a lot of these things on here, what's going on, Miss 10-2? Happy belated birthday to you. I know I hit you a message the other day, but happy birthday again. But yeah, so a lot of these things and a lot of these times when people have these conversations with their significant other about things that of this magnitude, it really boils down to whether you were open to listening to what the other person had to say. And also whether you were clear on what you were saying. If you're just rambling and going all off, you're just talking. Have your stuff put together. This is a real conversation. Denver Brigham says some can't spend time with self, not that grounded. They need company for entertainment and distractive purposes to not have to focus. And that's another thing. That's another thing, a whole nother subject in itself. Like, to be able to spend time alone that's not forced time. And I'm not saying to go get locked up and put in solitary confinement. You can spend all the time you want to alone in there. But if you can't have solitude in your own confinement, in your own peace, what up, K Solo? If you can't find solitude by being by yourself, then what makes you think other people want to be around you by themselves? That's a question we need to ask. If you can't spend time with you, what makes you think anybody else want to spend time with you? Duh. But yeah, man, so to recap again, we appreciate Conflicted Husband for hitting us up and asking us about this. So I saw you tune in. I saw you on the viewers, so I know you tapped into what we're talking about. So I hope that what all of us were talking about here, whether it be Charles Jones, Denver Brigham, whether it be C. Smith, whether it be Dakari, whether it be Lucy Lowe, any of the people that had something to say on here today, if I hope you took some of what they had to say and took pieces of it, but mixed it in with your own thoughts, with your own feelings, and be prepared. Be prepared to deliver those. Charles Jones said, that gonna hurt some feelings. Alone time is definitely needed if someone is seeking out who they really are and what their purpose is in life. Exactly. And I hope I didn't hurt your feelings, but if the truth hurts, say ouch. If you can't spend time with you, what make you think anybody else want to spend time with you? So have these understandings, talk to each other, explore potential solutions. Potential solutions. Not saying like, let's find the answer. Let's explore things that might work for us and discuss each individual one. Again, make sure y'all in a chill moment. My recommendation is roll up a doobie, but that's my recommendation for anything. But, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all in a chill moment together where it's stress-free. And also, make sure you're listening actively to each other. But if you can't find a common ground, then I always recommend seeking professional help. Exactly. I was just saying that, C. Smith. Counseling or therapy would be beneficial if need be. And it does. It helps, y'all, to have somebody with an objective point of view who kind of like has a balance between the two of you who don't even know you. They don't even know you. They're non-judgmental, you know? So with that being said, it's important to remember that there's no shame in redefining the roles within a partnership. In fact, doing so can strengthen a relationship and can bring couples closer together as they navigate through life's changes. Okay. So as always, I've been Holla at the Homie right here on hot7025fm.com. Doobie equals snacks and laughs. Exactly. You're right, Lucy Lowe. Anytime y'all want to holler at me, you can always send me a letter at HOLLAATTHAHOMIE@gmail.com. And as always, check us out on hot7025fm and tune into my YouTube. It's called Holla at the Homie with 360 the Poet. I'll put that in the comments in a little bit. So again, until next Wednesday, I'ma holla at y'all in a minute.